It's cold in here, but not as cold as it has been. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Anderson Bros Outdoors. I'm Jake, and today we're gonna do the second installment of What's Jake Doing? Today we have on the bench, we just wrapped up the servo video, so be on the lookout for that. It's been a long journey. We went through 3 or 4 revisions of the test bench, and then we finally got to one that we liked. There's a couple of modifications I will make to it and reprint it, but it takes so long to print that I just haven't gotten around to it. The printer's been preoccupied. It's been lots of fun, very interesting. Links in the description below for the website where all of the data for this is housed. We will continue to add data to that database, so feel free to reference it. It will always be data from this scale until this scale breaks, if it breaks, so that way we can keep a single source of truth. Enough about that. Item number 2 is a stadium truck to race on carpet. It is the 6.4 kit. Funny story. Right after we bought it, Associated released the new updated version of this. However, we've got this, so we're gonna run it. We're not experts. We're very likely not gonna be able to take advantage of the new features because we're just doing this for fun. This is something that we have to build relatively soonish. There is a whisper in the local area that we will be getting a new carpet track, which we don't have, at least an indoor one. We do have an outdoor carpet track, thanks to David. Thank you, David. I do have to get this together sooner than later. And the good news is that it does not come with a body. So I had to purchase a body and we will be painting that body as well. We're not gonna paint it today or even probably in the next 2 weeks because it's like 30 degrees outside. It's tolerable in here, which is why we're moved back to our original location. However, it's still cold. Paint is probably not in the forecast for the next couple of weeks, maybe even a month or 2. For this truck, we do have a 17.5 system or a 13.5 system. I don't know what the class requires. I assume it's either 21.5 for stock and 17.5. We are not really racers, so we got both of these. This is actually gonna go into another vehicle if it doesn't go into this. That's the motor and ESC combo we'll be running. It is the Hobbywing XR10 Pro. So both of them are XR10 Pros. I have some XR10 Pros in some other cars like the ones you see over here, and I really like them. The servo will be running. I have a bunch of these Savix black servos. They are 6-volt servos, and the model number is SB2263MG. If that's not a mouthful, I don't know what is. They work relatively well. They're fast. They have enough torque. They get the job done for the money. I don't remember what these cost. I don't think they were super expensive. That is going to be this truck. And then of course, we're gonna run it with the Noble controller. Moving on to thing number 3. We have the Noble controller and we have a mini Z here. I do have a mini Z track right over to my right, your left. Can't really see it on video. We have gone over it a couple of times. I do have a video specifically on it. I will be releasing in the future at some point. So we have the mini Z here and we actually bought some of the mini Z receivers for the Noble. They're rather expensive and, well, we found out the hard way that they don't really work on most of the models. Most of these models don't have the ability to plug the receiver into them, so be very careful with that if you're going to buy it, Mini Z, and plan on using the Noble. So the way you actually have to utilize the Noble, the bottom comes off of it, and there's actually a USB insert that you purchase separately, and it goes in it. This is what that looks like. It's part number FS-RM005. And it's just a USB key that simply plugs into the bottom of your controller. What that allows you to run the frequency required for these little cars. Once you plug that in, you need to make sure you're on the latest version of firmware for your Noble, and then you follow directions from the USB key. The USB key works on all mini Zs. You don't have to have one version or another. And it saves you pretty significant sums of money because now you just buy the stock car, pop in the USB. I think the USB key is 25 or 26 bucks. Links in the description below. Pair it to your car and you're off to the races. With the other version, you had to purchase receivers. You don't have to purchase receivers with this key. It's a one and done kind of deal. So fantastic that FlySky was able to partner or utilize the Kyosho protocol and prevent you from needing to spend hundreds or more of dollars on buying receivers for your miniz if you have more than one. Works very well, and there's no issues. Lots and lots of fun. Would highly recommend one. Update number 4 is a two-part update. We have the old XJ hard body by Injora on the pheonix RTR that we just opened. We did a video on how to install overdrive, dig, and a winch. That's all in the video. We did choose to put this body on this truck, and I do have some updates. The first update is I designed and printed some hard body mounts for the XJ. These will be for free on Thingiverse and Cuts 3D. They are up and available. The link's in the description below. You can go and download these and utilize them. The way that they work, there's a big hole in the middle of the insert that screws to where the end cap went. Really, really nice. And then I also added 2 additional holes for grub screws or set screws here where you can put the body on. Put the body on how you want it, or put it over the sliders how you want it. You drill a couple of holes in the bottom of the hard body, and it allows you to put those holes in where the set screws or grub screws are and slide it into place, much like a RC four-wheel drive body or something along those lines. There we go. We got it into place. We will have to trim the front slightly, but the rear lines up. We could actually move the front axle back just a touch. I don't know if we're gonna do that or not. You can see that now the body is held on nice and tight, and it's not gonna come off. The sliders are wide enough where it actually pulls the body out some and keeps the body in place. So when I'm driving it, I shouldn't have any issues. That's one part of the update. The second part of the update is we're on version 1 of the interior, and it looks gorgeous. This just came off the printer. We'll pull it out. It does fit this body perfectly. It resides roughly between 3/4 of an inch to an inch below the window seal. That's going to be good. And all it is this. Currently, this is version 1. It's got 4 seats. The seats do line up with the pillars, the B and the C pillar. We have the Formula 1 steering wheel, the racing seats. So now you can add people or whatever you want inside of here. The next step for me is I'll be creating or building a dash onto it. I wanted to get this printed out so that way I could take the measurements properly and not make guesstimates because it took roughly 15 hours to print this. I don't want to keep printing these over and over and over again. This will be available on Cuts 3D, and it does just sit in there like that, and it covers up all of the electronics. For the back, I'm going to leave the back open because I think that it looks pretty cool. This would simulate a Class 2 truck where I cut the trunk out so I could put my fuel cell in there, and it's still roadworthy. I don't know if the rules are gonna allow for that, so I might have to figure something else out. But this isn't gonna be a comp truck, this is gonna be a trail truck, and I wanted to do an interior. Looks better that way. The rest of the truck is likely gonna stay stock. If I do add anything, it'll be a steering servo and maybe a different ESC and motor. Highly unlikely, but we'll see what happens. And I think one of the other things I'm going to do as a part of this is make attachment area here on the back where I can put inner fenders so that way stuff doesn't fly from the wheels up into the cab of the vehicle. Again, version 1. Maybe next week I'll have version 2 or 1.1. Final update, we have our Artful Dodgers pheonix VS410 chassis truck, and we've made some pretty significant modifications to it over the last couple of weeks. One of the modifications is that the rear is actually up a little too high. We need to set that back down just a touch, or we need to move the front down some so that way it doesn't look like it's staggered. This truck started life as a pheonix portal build kit, and it evolved. We purchased the Artful Dodgers VS410 kit, if you will. We converted it. The way it was probably the most capable truck that I have, at least up until I got the VRD and the stance. I haven't had a lot of testing time to be able to compare them. However, this is the most capable in terms of the lines that it can do and also breakover angle. It's got the best breakover angle. What we've done with the truck is we actually purchased the VFD stubby kit and the behind the axle servo mount for it. Now, there's some things that you need to know. The stubby kit doesn't work very well with the VFD twin. It is made for the VFD. Spur components are not very friendly. I had to actually make custom modifications to it. Just know that if you go to put the slipper clutch back in place, it's going to be very painful. You just as well buy the entire spur setup for the regular VFD if you're going to be putting this in the VFD twin. We put that in there, figured that out, and then we also put in the behind the axle servo setup. The RS 800 V2 is too low. I do have a 700 coming, and changing it out. Just note that for the aluminum axles, for the behind the axle servo, you don't actually have the mount for one of the screws, so you are going to miss one of the screws. It is what it is. One of the other things that we did on the truck was we had to make new mounts for the transmission to mount to the Artful Dodgers chassis. I printed them in purple PETG. They are here. I did end up custom making those. I think it took 2 or 3 iterations, and we're good to go. Those are actually on the website if you want to download those. I haven't really got to use this truck much. However, from utilizing this truck last summer, again, this is the best truck in the fleet in terms of capabilities. So I'm super excited to get it out this summer and get some footage for everyone. That wraps up the weekly episode of What's Jake Doing? Thanks for making it this far. If you like it, feel free to give the video a like. Otherwise, until next time, we hope you have a great day.